And welcome, Todd McCormick.
Good morning. Well, if Mark's image just starts talking magically, I will be quiet. But you know what? When people say this, don't you think that all they're measuring is the effect of the THC? It's not the five, it's the one that they're feeling. And they suddenly think, okay, I got a little effect from that I can measure, so I'm going to say that the CBD did something for me. When in reality, if you take pure CBD, you don't really feel an effect. If you feel an effect from CD, it should be relief from, if you will, your neck pain or your whatever condition you're dealing with, if it's actually remedying it. But if you're not feeling relief of pain or anxiety going down or your appetite coming up or your sleep being able to settle in and rest through your sick night, then CBD is not having as much of an effect. Without the THC, you put THC in there, suddenly you're like, oh, I feel the THC, it's working. Well, yeah, right. And that's why I feel like people are misinterpreting things on a large level. You know?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Even the effects of the cannabinoids on seizures. Now, the cannabinoids' effects on seizures could once again be exactly what you're saying. If pure CBD is doing the job, then fine, we'll give it to CBD. But if it's not, and you require a profile, well, then that could be more accurately described as, you know, a CBD filter on your THC or on your cannabinoid profile, because it's definitely, you know, every time I've ever inhaled, well, pure CBD or any of the high CBD strains, I have found it to be like exactly what Rob and Skunkman Sam call it, which is the anti-THC. It almost just feels like the opposite of getting baked.
It's not so much the opposite. The way you explained it is it blocks your THC from basically uptaking. So if anything, you're just getting, the CBD is just getting in the way of the THC being completely what it could be. But that's fine. I mean, a lot of people that use high THC, you know, report having anxiety or feeling paranoid. The CBD even completely quell that.
And here it is. Taste Bud 420 just said this in the chat. A lot of people are scared of getting too high, because CBD seems appealing, but they are potentially missing out on so much. And I think that that's a very accurate statement. It goes right back to the propaganda. I wonder if cannabis made people paranoid before billions of dollars and millions of people incarcerated happened of that propaganda.
Not to be rude, Mark, I think that prohibition accentuates paranoia, especially if there's a cop behind you. But you know, when you're having a feeling a little out of body or you're suddenly experiencing something a little different, it makes you feel uneasy. And if you lose your sense of, you know, I don't even like feeling drunk. When I drink and I start to feel like I'm drunk, I feel like, oh, shit, what'd I do?
I'm the same way. But I say uneasy and paranoid are very different. It seems as though they took that uneasy and they cultivated it with their prohibition fear, and it turned into this just I've seen people have the worst paranoia.
Is it that, or is it they finally put a word to a feeling? Because they didn't acknowledge feelings as much as symptoms, you know, overall. If you were feeling uneasy, have a shot, have a drink, et cetera, et cetera. Or feeling a little bit nervous, have a nerve tonic. Remember, they sold nerve tonics and things like that. So paranoia existed definitely before cannabis. And I agree that prohibition exacerbated it through its misinformation. Remember, they told us we were going to lie, kill, murder. Then they told us we're going to grow big breasts and we're going to go crazy and we're going to be lazy. And, you know, all those things still haven't come true. But at the same time, the pervasive fear has gone so much into the common air that, I mean, quite a few patients come in and are initially frightened by how high they're afraid to get, because maybe one time they got high or they saw a friend get too high. So they're concerned now of these ratios and these new numbers. What do those ratios and numbers mean? And am I going to get so high that I'm going to go crazy? And so that is a real effect and a real fear of patients, especially older patients. They want to get rid of their pain and effect, but they don't want to get some crazy high. So,
well, here's a story. Here's a story for you, Etienne. A friend of mine, an old partner in the hemp industry that I used to work with back in Manitoba, his mother-in-law recently contracted a form of breast cancer. And so him and his wife obviously being the daughter of this woman, called me up and very nervous and very upset, obviously. And so I had some of Horatio's distillate, and I sent it to them so she could have that. And I just told them to microdose up until they could get her to potentially a gram a day. And then I guess accidentally what they did was they thought that the 3 gram syringe was a gram, and so they squeezed a third of it out. But these are 3 gram syringes. So she ate a gram of Horatio's decarboxylated active distillate, the LHO distillate, and aside from being like almost comatose for I'd say 18 hours in the sense of not being able to move her hands and arms and just like literally laying there, she wasn't scared at all, and it was really quite an interesting thing. She got a therapeutic dose of phytocannabinoids, and although
it's a heroic dose.
It's a heroic dose, but it's also therapeutic, and I would not be surprised that when she goes in the next few days for her biopsy to see if the lump is growing or shrinking, that in the least it's probably stopped. They're continuing to give her some, but on Tony's advice, a much lower, maybe 200 milligrams throughout the day if she can take that without the effects.
A true story, LV Musica that gets marijuana from the federal government way back when she first started using illegal marijuana. She was
in the 80s?
A coma surgery to try to relieve the pressure. Yeah. And she'd smoked weed, and when she went down there, they test their pressure, and if their pressure isn't above a certain threshold, they won't do the surgery. And because she smoked the weed, her pressure had dropped down. When she got there, they didn't want to do the surgery because she wasn't over the limit that she had to be at for them to basically do the surgery. Mm-hmm. And she was blown away, and that's when she really realized there's got to be something to this weed.
Absolutely. It's we've said it time and time again, and it's definitely miraculous to say the least, at least in how it works in our body. It is a true companion plant. Go figure that they've tried to keep us from it for so long. Go figure that there's 500 to 600 people every Sunday that wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, or if they're in Europe, at 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and come and check this information out with us. It's pretty fucking awesome.
How many people out there have eaten too much? Even on this panel, everybody's probably eaten too much, taken too big a dose, and got too high, correct? I know I have, but I did way too much. I figured it out, and it took me 2 days of fucking recovering to figure that out. I was a pig.
Yeah, it happens, man. The 11-hydroxy metabolite is definitely more powerful than THC. That metabolite is strong. I'll never forget watching 3 people go out on stretchers.
3 to 5 times more psychoactive.
Yeah, and I would say when you're feeling it, it definitely feels more like 25